Recorded Books presents an unabridged recording of Frankly, Frannie by A.J. Stern, narrated by Michelle O. Medlin, and directed by Abigail McHugh.
Chapter 1. I have simply magnificent news. Mrs. Pellington called from the front of the room. We had just come back from gym class, and we were still feeling run-aroundy. So Mrs. P gave 2 long claps, followed by 3 fast ones. This is our signal to clap back and concentrate. I love clapping back songs. If there are jobs other than teaching where you get to song clap, I want to work at one. Mrs. P always announces simply magnificent news on Thursdays. Mostly it's about school things like changes on the chore calendar or cleaning out the gerbil cage. But today, Elizabeth Sanders' dad was standing next to Mrs. P, which meant that maybe the news really was simply magnificent. Elizabeth's dad is very important and interesting. It is a scientific fact that he has his own radio show. And if he has a radio show, then he must have an office. And if you don't already know this about me, I love offices. If Mr. Sanders has an office, then he probably has an assistant, which is the exact thing I told my parents I wanted for Christmas. They're thinking about it. Mrs. P was so excited that she didn't wait long to blurt out, "Mr. Sanders has invited our class to visit his radio station on Election Day." Then she covered her heart with both hands and gave Mr. Sanders big, blinky cartoon eyes. Our whole class sucked in a fast gulp of happiness. Elizabeth acted like it was no big deal, but she only did this because Mr. Sanders is her dad. Secretly, she was proud. I could see a really small smile on her face. I'm very smart about really small smiles. Mr. Sanders' show is about news. My parents listen to the Sandy Sanders show every morning. I am not supposed to say this in public, but my parents think that he is good at some things and not so good at others. A for instance of what I mean is that he's good at the news part, but not at the call-in part. Sometimes my parents slap their heads at his advice and say, "What on earth is he talking about?" "Isn't this fabulous? Aren't we lucky? We'll see firsthand how a radio station works," Mrs. P said. Then she looked right at me and changed her face channel to strict. "There will be special conditions for certain people." That was when my whole body started to turn hot. This is because of what happened on the last class trip. We went to the office of Cambridge Magazine, and the office man let us all take turns in a swivel chair. We could swivel all we wanted, but we weren't to touch anything on his desk. But my dad says a messy desk is the sign of a messy mind. Maybe the office man didn't know this, because his desk was very messy. When it was my turn in the chair, I got a great idea. And that idea was that when the office man's back was turned, I would surprise him by quickly organizing his papers. But not everything went according to plan. When I reached over to straighten the papers, I knocked over a glass, which spilled water all over his desk. The office man was very upset. He kept squeezing his hands together, saying the papers were originals. My dad calls me an original, which is a good thing. So I didn't understand why the office man was so upset, or why I got in such big trouble. Now I know. Original means one of a kind, which is good if you're a person, but bad if you're wet paper. Does anyone have any questions for me? Mr. Sanders asked. My hand shot up so tall, I felt like I could have touched the ceiling without a ladder. Everyone else's hands shot up too. When he chose me first, I knew I had a really lucky arm. Actually, Mr. Sanders, does a radio station have an office? Actually is a really grown-up word, and I like to use grown-up words as oftenly as possible. Yes, actually, we have a lot of offices. See what I mean about actually? How many offices? I asked. Everyone who works there has an office, and there are more than 20 people who work there. More than 20 offices? In one place? A veterinarian only had one office. A dentist sometimes had 3. But 20? They probably had a lot of staplers. But the most exciting office is the big one in the middle. Why? I wanted to know. That's where all the action is. That's where all the disc jockeys work. I raised my hand one more time. Yes, again? How old do you have to be to work actually at a radio station? Well, actually, some of our interns are as young as 18 years old. 18? That was in 2016 years. I did not want to wait that long for a job. At the end of the day, Mrs. P gave us permission slips to take home. But she pulled me aside. Please ask your parents to come speak with me at school. That is not such a good sentence. And that is a scientific